Shephard has shared plenty of memorable television moments over the years, but some goodbyes are simply harder than others. And when the conversation turns to Kate Garraway, there is a sense that this was never just another professional farewell. For viewers who had watched the pair share countless conversations, laughs, serious discussions, and unexpected moments on screen, seeing their working relationship change naturally brought a wave of emotion. Of course, television partnerships evolve. Presenters move between programs, schedules change, and new opportunities appear. But behind every change is a human story. And sometimes saying goodbye to someone you have worked alongside for years can feel surprisingly difficult. Ben and Kate have built a familiar on-screen connection through their years in British television. Their chemistry has often come from something very simple. They know how to react to one another. One moment could be serious and thoughtful, and the next could turn into a joke that nobody expected. That kind of natural rhythm is difficult to manufacture. It develops through experience, trust, and countless hours spent working together. So when circumstances change, viewers may notice something that goes beyond the television schedule. They notice the memories. They remember the conversations. They remember the laughter. They remember those moments when one presenter could barely keep a straight face because the other had said something completely unexpected. And that is part of what makes a professional goodbye emotional. For Ben, leaving one chapter behind has meant moving forward while also appreciating the people who helped make that chapter special. Kate is one of those familiar faces who became part of the television landscape for millions of viewers. Their time working together represented more than simply sitting beside each other in a studio. It was about creating a comfortable atmosphere for audiences at home. There were serious interviews, breaking stories, lighter conversations, and plenty of moments when the presenters had to think on their feet. Live television is unpredictable. A script can tell you what is supposed to happen, but it cannot always predict what your co-presenter is going to say. And that is where personalities like Ben and Kate can shine. Their ability to respond naturally to one another helped create moments that felt genuine rather than overly rehearsed. That is why a change in their professional paths can feel so significant to longtime viewers. It's also worth remembering that a television goodbye does not necessarily mean a personal goodbye. People can leave programs, take on different projects, or follow new career opportunities without losing the respect and friendship built along the way. Sometimes the hardest part is simply accepting that a familiar routine has changed. For viewers, that can be surprisingly emotional too. You become accustomed to seeing certain people together. You know their personalities, their little jokes, their reactions, and even the way they handle awkward moments. Then suddenly, the television landscape looks a little different, and fans naturally begin asking questions. What happens next? Will they work together again? Could another project bring them back onto the same screen? Or was that chapter simply meant to become a treasured part of their careers? Nobody can predict exactly what the future holds, but that uncertainty is also what makes television so interesting. Ben has continued to build his own career with energy and enthusiasm, taking on new opportunities and showing that he is not afraid of change. Kate, meanwhile, has continued to be a familiar and respected presence in British broadcasting. Their individual journeys may move in different directions, but the memories created along the way remain. And perhaps that's the most touching part of the
does
story.
not erase everything that came before it. Instead, it gives people a chance to appreciate it. For Ben, the experience may serve as a reminder that some professional relationships become meaningful because of the people involved, not simply because of the program. There is something wonderfully human about that. Behind the polished television presentation are real people who spend long days together, share stressful moments, celebrate successful broadcasts, and occasionally laugh at something so ridiculous that it becomes impossible to continue. That is television at its best. And if Ben's reflections about moving on have made one thing clear, it is that change can bring mixed emotions. There can be excitement about the future while still feeling sentimental about the past. Those two feelings can exist together. You can be ready for a new chapter while still appreciating the people who helped shape the previous one. That is why the idea of Ben describing his departure as a particularly difficult goodbye has resonated with viewers. It speaks to something almost everyone understands. Eventually, routines change. People take different paths. The familiar faces you once saw together may appear in completely different places, but the memories remain. And sometimes the most memorable television moments are not the biggest announcements or dramatic headlines. They are the simple moments of laughter, kindness, support, and genuine connection between people who have spent years working together. For Ben and Kate, whatever the future brings, their shared television history remains an important part of their careers. Maybe their paths will cross again in another program or another unexpected television moment. And if that happens, viewers will probably be watching closely. Because after seeing two familiar personalities share so many memorable moments, there is something special about watching them meet again. So what do you think about Ben and Kate's television journey? Do you think their professional partnership created some of the most memorable moments in British morning television? And would you like to see them work together again someday? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoy stories about Ben Shephard, Kate Garraway, British television, and the personal moments behind the programs we watch, stay tuned for more updates, memorable stories, and surprising developments. Because sometimes the end of one television chapter is simply the beginning of another.